Okay, so what I'm going to show you right now is called basically overcompression. There's a nickname for it in the music industry as far as engineers and stuff, but they call it garbage. You know, it's quite an interesting name for a technique, but what a lot of engineers have done is they actually, when they track everything, they've got overheads or condenser mics on all the cymbals, all the tom, snare, kick, everything, you know, recorded, mics on that. But what they also do is they throw a condenser, usually a large diaphragm condenser in the corner, basically far away from the kid. But what ends up happening is they take that, you know, that actual large diaphragm microphone, and they call it the garbage mic. What they do with that is, in the actual editing process, they end up you know, smashing it completely as far as overcompression, just throwing way too much compression, and it adds kind of this interesting kind of, you know, crushed sound that kind of builds up your stuff a little bit. So let me show you what we can do here. Here's that session that they sent me, you know, 8 channels. They wanted me to check out, see what I could do. We've already done the kick drum, you know, replacement and the snare in our tutorial on sound replacement, and then we moved the kick around a little bit as well, just to you know, kind of mess with it, do some destructive editing. We still got that double kick kind of thing, that, you know, so that's kind of interesting. So here's what we'll do. Let's find a spot that's a little harder. Sure, let's try that part. It's not metal, you know. I'm not quite sure where those parts are. Let me see. Okay, so let's take that for instance. Okay, so we got a kind of a little cymbal thing going on, you know. You know, little bit of cymbal work. So let's do this. Let's get the overheads, you know. Got the overheads here. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to send them to an auxiliary send. Now check this out. Usually, you know, and I gotta say, you know, most programs, audio editing programs will have this, if not all of them. You know, I stick to Pro Tools personally, but what we're going to want to do is we're going to send these 2 overheads. You got, you know, I'll even name it for you. You got overhead left, you know, and overhead right. So we got those, you know, and notice how they're panned, you know, right and left. That's because they're stereo overhead. So here's what we'll do. I'm just going to put these in the center for now, and let's send both of these down what's called a bus. Now think of a bus as, if you don't know already, it's basically sending everything down kind of a line to, think of it as the audio is getting on the bus. That was a good little memory aid back in college as far as, you know, you got a bus that everybody's getting on, going to one direction or another, to one place. So we're going to send these overheads to the same spot. We're basically sending them to bus 3, 4, because it's left-right, you know, you got 3 and 4. If it was only mono, you would send it to maybe just 3, but you're not going to be doing that. So we're sending it to 3 and 4. I got my inputs up on the sends. Here's my sends right here. They're being sent to 3 and 4. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up, you know, 2-channel auxiliary. Now auxiliary doesn't really do anything for tracking. It won't record onto it. It's actually just kind of, you know, how the name explains. It's auxiliary, you know, kind of an extra thing you can do, you know. So let's create that. So I got these 2. I'm going to call this basically, you know, garbage. You know, I don't have to name these, but you know, garbage left, and then garbage right. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going to make these accept that bus. So bus 3 and then bus 4. You know, so technically you could just send this one to bus 3, this one to bus 4. You know, because it's left-right. It's mono, but technically stereo with both of them. So I got these accepting bus 3 and bus 4. Now when I play it back, you'll notice these green things popping up here. Independent, you know, it basically shows that it's getting signal. Now I'm gonna get rid of these sends. You know, now they're purple, so they're not working. I'll play it back, and you'll notice there won't be any green input. See, nothing on these auxiliaries. So basically, that's all really an auxiliary does. Is it sends these extra, you know, sends down this bus. You register it over here, and it accepts it. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to bring the organic overheads down just a little bit, make them even because they're stereo matched pair. And now what I'm going to do is start throwing on some heavy compression. So I'm just going to put the generic kind of compression on that Pro Tools comes with. Now, here I go. I'm going to turn my ratio really high. See how that line comes down. Basically, it's going to crush it quite a bit more. So basically, you're going to do that. I'm basically going to lower the threshold, push the gain up. Notice the red dot's kind of struggling because it's smashed. Now that's basically what's going on here. It's being smashed. Every time it's red, it's being basically just pushed into submission to a certain level. So what I'm going to do is, that looks good. So I'm going to actually duplicate that. So I got 2 compressions. So that's basically going to be ridiculously smashed at this point. You can tell overcompression now. So check that out. I'll go back and forth. So that's pretty much the difference in overcompression as far as you notice a major level. It sounds very smashed. That's a shitty click sound. Okay, that's gone. So yeah, you got a smash, and then no overcompression on it. Just the organics basically. So here's what you want to do. I mean, I've seen bands like the Deftones make overcompression, kind of the pumpy, breathy kind of thing. What we're going to do is on both of our channels, our garbage mics basically over here, we're setting our overhead. So let's have our organics here, right there. And then now we got our 2 compressed, smashed left and rights here, and we'll keep them low in the mix. So you kind of hear a more full, kind of more aggressive sounding kind of drum set. So watch, I'll mute these just so you hear the organics without. Here we go. And that's without. And here's with the garbage mic, overcompression thrown in subtly in the bottom. And once again, without, kind of sounds weak. So, basically you can get into a lot of stuff. I've seen people throw overcompression kind of auxiliary bus sounds on vocals. I haven't seen too much on guitars or basses, stuff like that, unless you're trying to go with some kind of weird experimental thing. But yeah, I mean, overcompression with vocals sounds pretty decent as far as screams and stuff like that. But once you get up into those heavy crash and Spock cymbal kind of things, overcompression, thrown onto a couple extra auxiliary sounds is definitely beneficial to make that power just punch through in modern day metal music. So definitely think about trying a garbage mic technique. And other than that, that's basically how you do it in any other like Logic and other programs that you might have tracked in. They have the same kind of basic premises: buses, plugins, and then of course setting up an auxiliary channel right here. So that's how it goes. That's how you set up an auxiliary and do a metal or overcompression kind of cymbal work.